to the Week 2 M&M show. We're going to give you our Week 3 preview. We're going to tell you all the teams that are winning. You can take it to the bank. And, George, I don't know if you noticed this last week. 16 for 16, flexing it big time. Let's go. Too bad I didn't put any money up in Vegas. That would have been the sickest of betting streaks ever. But alas, maybe I'll do as well this week. Probably not. You ready to get started?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Jumping right into it. Let's go rapid fire here. Miami, Jacksonville, Thursday night. The all Florida garbage game. Probably going to get some rain, right? We're definitely going to get some rain out there. Do you think it matters? Is it Minshew Mania still happening?
I think it's Minshew Mania. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win this game. The Dolphins were my pick for one of the worst teams in the league. That was before a lot of the injuries to the Jets and the Giants, which Dolphins might be even a little bit better than them. Depends on how quickly they go to Tua. But yeah, straight up Jaguars are going to win this game.
Yeah, I've got to take the Jaguars here as well. It's in Jacksonville. I don't know how much that matters, although they're allowing some fans there. But I think Minshew's just too much. I think the Jacksonville defense is just good enough to get this done. I will say, right, just as an aside, if you will, if you'll indulge me, I think that there's I was impressed by Miami's ability to stay in that game against a way better Buffalo team as long as they did. Now, Josh Allen finished it off on the back end. He got it done, but I was impressed by that.
They hung in there. They don't look terrible. They just don't look like that they could get it done during the top tier teams. Yeah, in crunch time in the fourth quarter, there's nothing there for you. Let me ask you this: if you, 3 receivers, okay, this isn't for the season, but it's for this week. You got Shark, you got Chenault, you got Cole Sr. They've all done their fair bit of damage through 2 games. Which one do you start? Shark is due.
Can't argue with it.
I believe in hot streaks, and he hasn't been cold. Like I think I've said this before in the fantasy segment. Shark's caught all the balls that have been thrown at him so far, but he's the type that pops off for a couple of touchdowns every couple of games. So I'm expecting a big game out of him.
Got it. Love it. All right, moving on. Las Vegas Raiders coming off a huge win, big upset over a Hall of Fame quarterback in Drew Brees. Nobody expected them to win that game. It's supposed to still be a rebuilding season, unless you were me. I expected it. So the Raiders taking on the New England Patriots. They're traveling across the country. Patriots are going to be home. They're going to be angry. They're going to be hungry. Patriots have got to win this game, right?
I think so. Unfortunately bet against the Raiders last night, thinking the Saints could get it done.
Yeah.
Patriots still have a pretty good defense. The Raiders are still developing. They still have a very young nucleus. Josh Jacobs has been out of this world. And Derek Carr has shown some real leadership. They have the pieces put together, but it felt more like it was the Saints that had too much to lose last night versus the Raiders really being a top tier team. So I'm going Patriots.
Yeah, here's my only thing with the Raiders and what I would wonder about with New England. We touched on this before the season started, but a lot of players, not playing this year, taking the year off for the Pats, and their defenses seem to still be good, not great. Good. And, I just wonder who they have that can stop Waller. And maybe it was just because, the Saints couldn't figure it out. But, he's a man possessed. He's a monster. And when he gets his body into him and boxes you out, he's got soft hands to just bring that ball in. So I look at that and I think, man, that's the one guy that, the Patriots are going to have to key on. And then they have Edwards, who we touched on early on in week 1. Ruggs is absolutely a deep threat. I think he's nursing some injuries, and he hasn't gone off yet. I think it's only a matter of time till he starts just going over the top over everyone. And I don't know. Like I look at that team. Richard isn't a bad backup either. And they've also got Devontae Booker out there that can do some things out of the backfield. Spelling Jacobs. I think that Raider team has come along a little bit quicker than we thought, but I'm still with you. I think I still have New England winning this game at home. Too much Cam Newton and not enough Raider defense.
Yeah, I mean, if you think Waller is a special talent, what coach in the National Football League do you think has a better is going to have a better plan to isolate and
then Coach Hoodie?
Yeah, Coach Hoodie.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Waller is a special talent, but he figured out a way multiple times to stop Peyton Manning. So, what are we going to do? All right, let's move on. We both got New England in that game. So let's, we'll mark it off. So far, we're all in agreement. I'd be shocked if that lasts 14 more times. So we have Chicago coming to Atlanta. Chicago might be the biggest surprise 2-0 team in the NFL. I look at that and I'm like, meh. Like they've won both games against in a game against Detroit, which they absolutely should not have won. Detroit capitulated and let the Bears win. And no offense, Bear fan. I only got a lot of Bears fans. You guys know it too. Look deep within yourselves. And you beat a bad Giants team, 17-13. Like, how did you not score more points? Like, how is that? How is it? Come on. Like, the Bears are not a 2-0 team, right? Like, they're definitely not going 3-0 against Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with the Falcons on this one, but it's going to be tough to do so because you got to figure after the Falcons lost that Dallas Cowboys game after putting up 49 points,
39, but yeah.
Oh, 39 and taking the L. That's
not
wild.
Good. Yeah. Well, they've probably put up, I mean, I don't know if there's actually a stat out there, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put up the most points through 2 weeks of a team and lost, right? Because they put up 20, maybe even in the 30s against Seattle and then 39 last week, and they didn't win either game. So there's no doubting that defense is not good. However, Trubisky's not a real quarterback. The Bears are struggling to run it when they want to. And even on top of that, I don't think that they can Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Russell Gage. So I look at that and I say, okay, like you're not stopping all of those guys. And I think, I mean, we've shown their offense is not a problem. So unless that Bears rush defense is really, really special, I'm taking the Falcons as well.
Yeah, and just taking a cursory look at the teams that lost 2 games, it's 100% the Falcons that have scored the most points. It's not even close. So hopefully they're going to get it done here, but I would not be surprised if they go to 0-3.
We'll see. I just will quick check on this. Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones after week 1, neck and neck. Calvin Ridley is way off in the lead now. And I don't want to – I mean, I'm calling it early. Injuries could happen. But Calvin Ridley is a beast, a man possessed. That guy is an absolute stud. And so we'll see what happens. I know Julio says he's got a little injury. I'll give Julio credit. Had Julio on my fantasy team for a lot of years. That dude can fight through injuries like nobody's business. This is Calvin Ridley's team in the wide receiver core moving forward. San Francisco at the helpless New York Giants. This is a tough one for me because the Giants suck. But the San Francisco 49ers are absolutely the all-injured team. Who do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, how can you possibly take the Giants?
Because who's going to play for the – I don't know who's playing for the 49ers.
Okay, so just looking at it that way, though, like who's going to play for the Giants, right? So even when it looks like that somebody's coming out on injury, like one of the receivers for the Giants goes out, and it looks like that there's going to be somebody emerging as a top receiver. There's no consistency to that team, and they're just bad. Like their defense is bad. Their offense is bad. I think that they're just bad enough to take the L to the Niners, who, despite having a lot of injuries, have seemed to more or less be able to get it done.
Yeah, this one's a hard one. I think the Niners are in big trouble. I don't love, because it's the early game, I don't love picking those West Coast teams traveling east. If you look at the numbers throughout history, like those teams just struggle there. The Niners aren't going to go over on, or the Giants, aren't going to go over on the season. But I have trouble picking the Giants. I'm with you. First away team win. Are we both going San Francisco here?
I'm going San Francisco.
Okay, we're both going San Francisco. I don't know. I might have to – I'll check back in with you before the game on Sunday. I may end up making a switch on that one in my Pick'em League, my confidence pool. We'll see what happens. That one, very much a toss-up for me. I want to see who's going to – what I really wonder about is that, like, they're like half their D-line, more than half. Almost their entire starting D-line in San Francisco is hurt. And I don't love – the Giants being able to run the ball. I don't think they can do that. But, like, good Lord, like, if you have nobody on the D-line, like, maybe you can run the ball. We'll see. San Francisco, get healthy, guys. All right, moving on to Cincinnati at Philadelphia. The Eagles had a little bit of mustard. They came back against the Rams. That impressed me for a team that I think is bad. I don't think their defense is up to snuff. Their offensive line is hurt. But I was impressed that they stuck with it. What do you think? Cincinnati, Joe Burrow going to get his first win there against just a struggling Philadelphia team?
Eagles are home. Eagles have looked a lot worse than the team that I really think that they are. I'm going Eagles. I think Joe Burrow's best chance at getting a W was in week 1. Where that field goal was missed to tie it in the last minute. It's nothing against him. It's just AJ Green doesn't look that great. Boyd seems like that he's not used to not being the man in Cincinnati. Joe Mixon hasn't looked great either. It feels like there's a lot of pieces that yet to get going with the Bengals, and I'm not convinced it's going to happen this week. So I'm going Eagles.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the Eagles pretty firmly on this one as well. I think since they'll have some shots later in this, I think next week or 2 weeks from now they play home to Jacksonville. It's a winnable game. There's other games on the slate that are winnable, and they'll have opportunities down the road. But I'm with you. I don't think you're going into Philadelphia and winning. Houston, these guys, the Texans can't catch a break. They've played the two best teams maybe in the NFL to start the season, and then they have to also then go play at Pittsburgh. It's just the schedule will not let up. Steelers are running away with this one, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Steelers were an 8-8 team without Ben Roethlisberger last year.
With Duck
throwing up ducks.
Hodges. Throwing up ducks. Yeah, I'm with you. Steelers, there's too much offense there. And I still want to stay away from Steelers running backs if I'm a fantasy guy. But they're going to – whoever ends up playing, right, is if Connor's healthy, he's going to get the load. If Snell's healthy, he's going to get the load. If you can have them both, maybe that's something to do. But aside from that, like that team looks very formidable. Really looking forward to Steelers and Ravens here in a few weeks. That one's going to be a good one. But for this one, I've got the Steelers running away with it. Just too much offense there, and realistically too much defense for Houston to deal with.
Yeah, one of the main people that hasn't really surprised me, but's looked really great is Deontay Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
He's so far this year, he's had 23 targets. He's had 14 catches. He's looking great. He looks like he is. Juju had one big game week 1, but it may very well be that Deontay Johnson is the receiver to own, as well as Claypool, who I said would be a good shot at being a dark horse wide receiver for you to be able to pick up but he is only going to get better and better. He is a freak of nature. So I'm excited about that team.
He absolutely is. Agree with you there. Let's move on to the Rams at Buffalo. I've mentioned this a little bit ago, but if I look at the Rams, they're 2-0. That division looks great, right? There's 3 2-0 teams there. That division looks great. I look at the Rams almost like a paper tiger, right? And I know they beat a supposedly good Dallas team in week 1, but I don't think that Dallas team is that good, and they kind of almost laid an egg last week too. And we touched on it. We won't belabor that point. And then they beat up on a bad Eagles team. So they did exactly what they were supposed to against a bad Eagles team. I got Buffalo here, right?
Yeah, I've got Buffalo. I've been really impressed with how they look. I feel like that Josh Allen finally has has a really solid receiver core. I jotted some notes down here. Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, even Cole Beasley.
Yeah.
It's just to the point where even their running back so far in 2 weeks, like their running game doesn't even look like it's that impressive. It feels like neither of them are rosterable at this point if you're just going by pure rushes. Yeah. So 100% Buffalo.
I'm with you there. We're taking Buffalo. Wow. We're getting close to being all agreeing here. I think we're halfway through almost. So, all right, Tennessee, Minnesota. Tennessee was looking good about halfway through last week, and I know they're 2-0. But they were just nearly one of those teams that just capitulated and Jacksonville got right back into that and had a shot to win there. How do you feel about Tennessee at Minnesota? Minnesota's had its own issues. What do you think?
I'm going Tennessee. I think they're going to get it done. I don't like the way that the Vikings have looked early in the season. I know they're home, but I feel like that makes less and less of a difference because of the stadiums being what they are. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a big game. I think if we can get A.J. Brown back, he's going to be a big piece to Tennessee's overall confidence and their overall success. Ryan Tannehill, ever since he's taken control of the Tennessee Titans, it feels like that they've been on this large win streak. Maybe not in a row, but certainly
winning a lot of games for sure.
They got to be somewhere in the 8-2 range, if I had to guess, over the past 10 weeks.
Yeah, here's what I'm going to say though: is they struggled against a mediocre Denver team in Denver, and could have should have lost that game. They let Jacksonville back into it. They're playing in Minnesota, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't feel like Minnesota's defense is as bad as they've looked. And I think I'm going to say Minnesota finally gets off the schneid here. Kirk Cousins has himself a bit of a game. I'm going to break from the pack here. I'm going to go Minnesota in this one. I think it's a very close game. I think it's a bit of a toss-up. I think the Vegas line on this is Minnesota plus 2.5. So what? Tennessee's barely favored. So I think it's right there. I think it's a bit of a toss-up. I'm going to go ahead and take the underdog on this one and take Minnesota. There we go. Break from the pack. All right, Washington at Cleveland, and the who cares? They're both bad and not going to make the playoffs game. What I will say here is one of these teams is going to be 2-1.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's kind of scary. Who is it?
And at the end of the day, that's pretty wild. I think I'm going to go Browns.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because a couple of different things. Washington kind of lacks identity. I felt like that the first week was surprising in a lot of ways. It felt like that they kind of rallied together against all odds. I feel like the Browns have a very solid 2 top 10 running backs, solid wide receivers, a quarterback that can get it done, albeit inconsistently, and they're playing home. I could see the Browns being 2-1.
Yeah, I'm all the things you just. I think Odell Beckham's going to have another big game this week. I think Kareem Hunt's going to have another good game. I think Nick Chubb's going to have another good game. I think Washington won week 1 because they have a formidable pass rush and defensive line against a Philadelphia team who's just struggling with injuries on the offensive line. And I don't think Cleveland's offensive line is a whole lot to write home about per se, but I think they get the job done here. I think they win this game, probably going comfortably is what I would say. Carolina Chargers, man, with Christian McCaffrey has played essentially 2 games, and was healthy for 2 3/4 of those games, or 1 3/4 of those games, and Carolina still wasn't really close to winning either of those games. So I'm going Chargers.
You have to go Chargers. A big if is who's going to be starting.
How do they not start Herbert after the heck of a game he had?
Well, all right. So he had a good game. He missed some throws. He fed some of the key players that you would expect him to feed. Like I feel like Keenan Allen. I feel like Hunter Henry did a lot better than they would have done ordinarily. But that is a team that has a lot of question marks when it comes to the starter. They are still going with Tyrod Taylor. I'd like to see the Justin Herbert show start a little bit early, but I don't ultimately think that's going to happen. I think whoever starts a quarterback, I feel like the Chargers are going to win this one.
Yeah, I agree. Jets at Indianapolis. The Jets are an injury-riddled mess. It's Indy all day long here, right?
Oh, yeah. So just to put it into perspective, I think I'm looking at the New York Jets depth chart, and the only one that's not listed as questionable is Braxton Berrios and Josh Malone, whoever the hell that is.
Berrios had a nice game last week. I will say that.
Well, so Denzel Mims, who they were all excited about, he's on the IR. Bashar Perriman looks like he's hurt. Hogan looks like he's hurt. Chris Herndon had a chance to be the man. He wasn't the man. So
turns out he was not the man.
I feel like the Jets are probably the worst team in the league. They could go over. So
here's what I'll tell you about Herndon is Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph both separately had some opportunities to make plays for the Vikings last week and didn't. And the Colts sometimes have trouble against tight ends. So Herndon's a guy that if you've got him in your fantasy squad, he's sitting on your bench, you might look at him this week and say, hey, this is a flyer to start, right? Or if people are cutting bait on him and you've got George Kittle and you're, you know what I mean? You're trying to, or you're streaming a tight end, that's a guy you might look at streaming. Just a spot where they've traditionally struggled to defend.
Yeah, I mean, if you're desperate for fantasy relevancy, look at Pirine.
Yeah.
For the inevitability when Gore gets hurt, or just isn't getting it done.
Let me tell you right now, I don't think either of them. I don't disagree with that long term. Neither of them are doing anything against that Colts defense in Indianapolis. Dalvin Cook was doing okay. That
I agree with.
So. Yep. I don't think that Jets line is giving him any holes. So neither here nor there. Detroit at Arizona. We got way too much Cardinal offense. I got way too much Cardinal defense. I got a big game from Murray here. Arizona all day long. Yes?
Yes. Arizona all day long. Lions don't look good. Haven't looked good.
And I'll take the heat here. I said they might make the playoffs, and they suck.
Well, as bad as the Lions have looked the first 2 weeks, the Cardinals have looked that good. So you have to pick the Cardinals in this game.
The Lions look as bad as they looked last year without Stafford. That's the surprising part to me. I thought you put Stafford back on this team, they help you. Don't get me wrong, I get Stafford's he's not everyone's answer to everything, but you put him back on the team, they're able to function a little bit better, have a little bit more possession. score a few more points like this. That changes a lot of defenses, right? No, Lions defense is still awful. Their offense is awful, and Stafford might break his neck again. So we'll see what happens. I said watch out for big game from Murray. Another guy that's been quiet from the Cardinals so far this year, and you were talking about Kenyon Drake. I'm sure you want to mention him again. My guy to watch out for in this game is Christian Kirk. Third-year wideout. He's been quiet all year. I've been expecting him to have a big season this year. He's been quiet so far. I think this is a game where he has a chance to break out against just a beyond mediocre Detroit defense.
Yeah, check out Drake to open up his game. And with Kyler Murray dominating as much as he is, it's going to give him a chance to really make his impact on the game.
Yeah, no, I like that too. All right, so we've got Tampa Bay at Denver. It's Tampa going away, right? Like, especially with like the new injuries in Denver. Yeah, Tampa wins. What I'll say is if Locke is healthy, I don't think he will be, but if Locke is healthy, it's a little bit closer game than you think. Like, Denver's defense isn't terrible, and Tom Brady isn't Tom Brady. You know what I mean? He's not the Patriots Tom Brady, and Bruce Arians is nowhere near the coach that Coach Hoodie is. But I think Tampa still wins comfortably.
Yeah, it's Tampa. I would look for Tampa to win. I would look at Fournette to take over the primary running back role officially this week.
Okay. That's gutsy. I like it.
Well, Ronald Jones coughed the ball up last week, and then Fournette ended up
after the game. And after the game, Bruce Arians said Ronald Jones is still our guy. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm just saying we'll see what happens. All right, Dallas at Seattle. No great escapes this time. It's not going to be close. Dallas is still playing like a team that they still think they've already won something, right?
They still feel like they've already won something. They got away with it last week. Still extreme gravitas. It's going to be Seattle because they're gritty, they're hardworking, they're humble, and they don't take anything for granted.
Yeah, I'm with you. Too much Russell Westbrook in that game, and this might be the first time when Russ first came to the league, he had some weapons, but not like this team. DK and Lockett and Penny's coming back, and they've got Carson. Like, Carlos Hyde has looked good, spelling Carson here and there. Like, there's a lot of Shockey and Disley are not terrible tight ends either. There's a lot of weapons on that team.
Yeah, Greg Olsen, I believe.
I said Shockey. My apologies. It is Greg Olsen. Good call.
Yeah, no problem.
I went with the wrong Miami tight end, the wrong former Hurricane tight end.
Well, you also said Russell Westbrook, but who's counting?
You got me, Russ. Yeah. The wrong Russ. They're both going to be MVPs.
They're all great. They're both great.
They're all great. Everyone's great. I'm going full Chris Collinsworth here. All right, the Green Bay Packers team possessed, right? They look really good against New Orleans Saints. To me, this is a tough pick. And I know home field doesn't necessarily matter. The Saints won their first game, and they lost in what some people consider a surprising fashion, right? They were definitely the favorite team. Two Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Both defenses have been a little bit questionable to start the season. What do we think here? I mean, it's in New Orleans. Drew Brees is going to have a comeback game, or are we looking at this as it's Aaron Jones time?
So it's super close. One of the things that makes it even closer is Devontae Adams might not play.
Oh.
So that could be a completely different game. We already know Michael Thomas is not going to play, and we already know that there were pieces missing to the Saints offense because of it. We already know that they have two really great running backs. Actually, a lot of really great running backs, especially from a Packers perspective. It's going to be super close in this situation. Devontae Adams plays. I'm gonna lean towards Packers, but right now I'm thinking he's not playing. I'm gonna lean towards the Saints because of their home team.
I'm gonna take the Packers. I think too much Aaron Jones, too much Too much Williams. I think even if Parker, good Lord, the wrong Devontae. I think if Adams plays, it's even more in favor. But I think even if he doesn't, there's still some good wide receivers. And like let's remember, like, Aaron Rodgers has done more with less in his career. And so I think there's still opportunity for him to make receivers out of receivers that aren't that good. So I think I go Packers here. I think, but I'll tell you what I do expect. I expect monster games from Jones and Kamara, like possible 40-point games from each, because neither defense has shown the ability to really hone in and just cinch that up. And so that ought to be interesting to see what happens there. All right, game of the week, Monday Night Football. So excited. Kansas, and I haven't really been excited about a Monday night game yet, but this is for the neutrals, for everyone. Kansas City going into Baltimore. I don't think it needs more commentary than that. George, who you got?
I think the Chiefs get it done.
Woo-hoo-hoo! You think Kansas City's going into Baltimore and winning? I know we've said it. It's it's a weird year and home field, but I still feel like if I was an NFL player, like fans or no fans, this is my house, and I'm taking Baltimore. I think the Chiefs, they beat Houston, but they didn't look. They looked good doing it. They didn't look great. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is good. They didn't look great doing it. They really didn't look great last week, and maybe it was just a surprise. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, Baltimore has looked great. Full stop. Doesn't matter what week. They have looked great, and I think that's too much Baltimore defense, and I don't think the Chiefs have an answer for. They don't have an answer for Lamar, Ingram, Dobbins, Edwards, Brown, like Mark Andrews. They just don't have an answer there, because it's a little bit like Patty Mahomes in reverse. You come get him in the pocket, Lamar's running. You go get him in the pocket, he's gone. He's slithery. He's going to get out of there. If you give him time to throw, he's going to pick you apart. And I think I'm not saying they're both MVPs, but I don't know. I think I got Baltimore in this one. Too much offense, too much defense, and I think defense for me is the key. We know Kansas City can put up points, but only one of these defenses has looked to be in form this year.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say that the Chiefs are gonna win, and it's not even gonna be close.
You think the Chiefs blow out Baltimore?
I think Lamar is gonna get rattled. I think
Wow.
I think that's what's gonna happen.
Wow.
Could be wrong, but this is my big.
This is your big one.
Hill to die on this week.
This is all right. I like that out of you. I was going to ask for your big surprise in week 2, but you just gave it to me. Not so much Chiefs win, but Chiefs win by a bunch. That's bold. That's bold. Okay, I like that out of you. Well, George, appreciate you stepping in here. We've had a great week so far. We're going to move on to our fantasy section next. We got a special guest coming up with us. So thanks, everybody, for joining in. We'll see you on the next segment.